You are listening to the Work Culture Podcast or watching. Welcome back. Thank you so much. We have today Lamar Romero. He is the CEO of Hire Dragons, or if you look at his LinkedIn, he's the CED. I'll let him explain that. Lamar, thanks so much for being on the show today. Why don't you just give us a high-level snapshot? Who are you? What is Hire Dragons? Go.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Jason. Thank you for the opportunity. So my company, Hire Dragons, is basically an advanced ecosystem platform for tastings for the beer, wine, liquor industry. So we're part experiential marketing and part gig economy. We have 5,000 brand ambassadors on our platform in 6 states that do tastings for beer, wine, and liquor clients. We've got over 50 clients. And our job is really to go and promote and evangelize the story of the clients that we represent so that consumers not only bring those products home in their hands, but in their minds and their hearts as well. And in a nutshell, I'm what they call the Papa Dragon. I've made a lot of videos for my brand ambassadors. I'm trying to make them feel like a part of the family. So the moniker is just kind of stuck, and now I'm Papa Dragon or the Dragon.
That's awesome. I love that. Not only are you telling great stories, you're giving us all free samples, and
That's right.
I love that too. Anybody who's been to a liquor store can thank you for that. All right, so we're going to dive a little more into kind of where you are, how you've gotten there. But first, that's the question I like to ask every guest right out of the gate. What is a mistake that you've made in leadership that you'll never forget? And keeping in mind, you've been the CEO for what, almost 12 years? You started this company, right?
Right.
So it's been a minute.
Yeah, it has been. And my answer is probably going to be pretty different from others. I think the biggest mistake I've made is growing too slowly. So where most great CEOs and entrepreneurs probably wrestle with the fact of, I put 80, 100, 120 hours a week into this, blood, sweat, and tears. I've neglected my family and my significant other, and I've been growing this thing. I took the opposite approach. I was like, how can I build a company and do it where I can still have a lifestyle that I'm not too stressed? Now, that didn't work out too well. I've got a lot more gray on my beard than I thought it would, 12 years later. But, in the beginning, it was basically piecemealing the company together, no capital, bootstrapping, and making things happen. If I could go back in time, I probably would have raised money a little bit sooner, worked a little bit harder towards my vision, and gotten to where I needed to get quicker. But it's also taught me a lot about perseverance. It's taught me a lot about how to responsibly manage funds and debt, and also build great relationships with my employees in such a way that we're practically family. Like everybody who's been working with us has been with us for quite a long time.
Yeah. So tell me more about that part, right? Like you build this company and you're bootstrapping, you're growing slowly, but you're growing steadily. And I know that over the last year, there's some probably hiccups, but we can talk about later.
Sure.
But like, how many employees do you have? And you would, I mean, I guess you have thousands of like giggers, right?
Right.
But then you have your core, I would assume, admin staff. How many of those people are on the team?
Yeah, we've got about 15 full and part-timers right now on the team that help us run the admin side of what we do. And when the company was started, I had come from high tech. I'd worked at Dell as a professional career, and I worked for a couple of other startups, a YC startup, and I really wanted to have a company that was employee owned from the very beginning. So that's the way I set it up at the very beginning. 20% of the ownership of the company has been dedicated towards the employees. So, building at the beginning was, I prioritized passion and desire to want to go out and learn over aptitude, right? My programmers that I first hired to build my application, one was 18 years old and one was 19. They learned how to code on YouTube. One of them is still with me today. He's been with us for, he's been out with us for 6-7 years. He's 25 now. For me, it's always been, how can I develop people and talent that want to be developed? And my current CEO is a perfect prime example. He started as a dragon. He went to part-time operations. Then he went to full-time operations. Then he went to VP of operations, and just this year he was promoted to chief operating officer, the only
Wow.
other chief in the company besides myself. So to me, that's been the best thing about this journey is seeing people grow and helping them grow, and knowing that whether I sell the company tomorrow or something happens, they're going to be able to take those experiences somewhere else and prosper. So, but yeah, did I even answer your question, Jason? I'm not sure if I did.
I mean, no, this is a perfect, I'm not saying no, I prefer the direction you went in because you got there way faster, right? Like one of the things we try to find out on this podcast are what are your secrets? Like what are the kind of big golden nuggets of culture? And you just said that you hire people and develop talent who want to be developed. You're hiring based on potential. You're hiring based
Correct.
on eagerness and probably other things like determination, not the Rolodex, not the pre-existing skill base. And I just love that. I mean, it's how I hope my kids get hired, right?
Yeah.
I think that's incredible.
I mean, yeah, it's worked out really well for us. I mean, it's been harder to raise money because professional money, because when I go and I say, hey, here's my team, they're like, that guy didn't come from Harvard, that guy didn't come from Stanford. But for everything else that we've done, I've seen amazing talent and potential come from folks that started. I mean, 5 of the employees that we have started as dragons. They started as gig workers. So it's been a cool blessing, and it's really taught me a lot about how to meet people, how to talk to them, how to interview them, and realize, hey, they might be a great fit simply because they have this aptitude to want to learn and get better. And even if I put them in a role that didn't necessarily work out at first, maybe I can find another role for them in the company if that attitude can stay with them, right?
So do you have some examples of that where people were they were the right person in the wrong seat and you saw that and you shifted them and they succeeded?
Oh yeah, many times. I mean, our COO, Mitchell, is a good example of that. When Mitchell first started with us, he was actually very shy and communication wasn't something that was really easy for him. I've seen him completely change that, where now he goes to trade shows and he's meeting, potential prospects and clients and talking them into, going through the process with us and becoming clients.
Wow.
So yeah, I had another person that started as, this part of operations and went to this part of operations and then this part of operations, and now knows the whole trick so well that now she's our VP of learning and makes sure ensures that all of our dragons are utilizing our learning management system correctly so that they can go out and evangelize the story of our clients. So our original programmer was doing front-end programming, right? Doing GUI interfaces and stuff like that. Now he's basically a back-end programmer that is also the liaison between us and operations, making sure that the feature requests that we ask for are filtered in a correct way and prioritized in a correct way, that things are getting worked on that are really important to the company. So yeah, I mean, I could go on and on, but for me, it's always been about, if you have the aptitude to go and or the attitude over the aptitude to go and learn and do that, then I'm going to find a place for you.
Yeah. Are you a fan of Adam Grant by chance? Or do you know who
No,
that is?
I don't know who Adam Grant is. Sorry.
His most recent book is called Hidden Potential, and I'm making my way through it right now. But he's always been somebody who's a huge proponent of that. He's one of those multi-time bestsellers and big
on my list. Hidden potential.
Hire on potential, lead based on that potential, and it's those. It's an unfortunate nickname for these, but soft skills, right, versus hard skills. But the soft skills of like determination and resilience. You mentioned perseverance that you've had to develop over the years. Like these are the things that are really going to propel us, and when we see them in other people, are going to make much more of a difference than their GPA.
Big time, man. Big time. I mean, half of my folks don't even have college educations.
Yeah.
Right. And I do. So it's not that it's just that that's not really what I treasure. I mean, if you have a college education, great. But if you don't,
right,
and you're willing to learn, come on, let's go.
Yeah. Now you're an Aggie, right? Texas A&M?
I am. Texas A&M Aggie, correct.
Because you're on one of those top lists. What was that again? I've seen it, I've heard it, but I don't remember.
Well, so, that lots of holistic, small growth for the first 5 years of the company. But since COVID, we've had explosive growth. And so there's a thing called the Aggie 100, which is the businesses submit their financials. And if you started, I think the minimum is you have to do at least 250 or 500,000 in revenue. I can't remember, but your CAGR, your compounded annual growth rate, determines what ranking you're going to be in that Aggie 100. So from the year 2020 to 2022, we had 106% CAGR, and that put me as 15th, as the 15th fastest Aggie-owned business in America. So, which was a big surprise. When I got in, I thought, oh, cool, we'll be like 90 or 80. That'd be great, But when they were counting the dollar down, and I was like, wow, like 15 was a great reflection on what we accomplished, to slow down and say, wow, we're actually doing really, really great. Like, we don't realize that sometimes, right?
No doubt. Yeah. So, I mean, other than people started drinking a lot more during COVID, what would you say contributed to that boom? I mean, because even though people did, they weren't going to the store getting samples, not at first, right?
That's correct. No, I mean, COVID killed my business for 6 months. We were completely out of business. I was very worried, very scared, twiddling my thumbs. I furloughed the whole company, which another testament to our culture. The whole company came back after being furloughed.
Wow.
And then October of 2020, when things started kind of, people were getting hint up energy, I like to say, with our learning management system, I got on a video and I said, look, Dragons, you're going to wear gloves. You're going to wear a mask. This is how you're going to do it. Let Papa Dragon show you. This is how you're going to set up the samples. You're going to have hand sanitizer. And then when samples started kind of opening up again, because during that time, people were drinking, Jason, but they were drinking the things that they knew, right? You were just going to the store. I want Tito's. I want Jack Daniels. That's it. Have it delivered to me. So, and most of the brands we represent are small and medium-sized brands that need this promotion. They need this liquid to lips to get their story out. So, October came around. We started doing that, and then I remember getting a call from somebody I told them wanted more. They're like, "Are you Lamar with Higher Dragons?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. Your people are coming in prepared. Like, thank you. You're the only one.
Cool.
And I've got a referral for you." And then I was like, "Yeah." And so, very quickly, by Q4 2020, we were profitable. Where we had been in business for 6 months prior. So, we knew what we were on to something with our learning management and the culture of how we educate. And then 2021 was just straight up, and 2022 was straight up.
Wow. So you mentioned you built your own software. Is that software for the gigging side of it? Like actually?
Yeah, the software actually serves 3 audiences. It serves the Dragon who logs in and finds their shifts and, determines how much they're being paid for total shifts. It serves the client that logs in and has a portal to see where all their activations are, and also has reporting. After every activation, a report sent, so there's data that's collected. And it serves us as admins who can go in and make sure that we're coordinating all the pieces correctly. So it's pretty complicated software that basically manages end-to-end the whole process of bringing the Dragon up, hiring and educating the Dragon, all the way to doing the activation and turning in a valuable report that goes back to our clients.
Now, is that one of your differentiators, do you think, that has helped you succeed other than culture? Or do you think that's just like a nice to have? It's the people that have been the differentiator.
It remains to be seen. Like in 2018, when we started it, there wasn't a lot of technology in our industry at all. It perpetuated pretty fast over the last 5 years. So there's third-party companies that sell software that do stuff similar to what we do in-house. But the secret sauce of the stuff that we do in-house is that everything we've designed has been designed towards our culture, right? So
Mm.
many other platforms don't have a really sophisticated learning management system with badges that, if a dragon goes and wants to go do, one of our clients like Devil's River, and they don't want to pass the Devil's River test that takes about 20 minutes to pass, and they don't get the badge, and since they don't have the badge, they can't pick up the shift. So this is how we scale with quality, in that it's like, hey, you will
Yeah.
be educated, you will learn the brand before you go out there and promote it, and that's a key differentiator for
And so that's your
many.
software. You have
This
your
is
own
our software. We
LMS
have
with all the
100% of
badges
the
and everything.
IP. Yep.
Oh, wow, that's
Um,
so cool.
Two American programmers that build that software, and and it makes us a little bit more expensive in terms of our ongoing maintenance costs, because we're managing this. But at the same time, this is going to be great for us, or in the future, if we should ever sell the company, to have this kind of IP with this kind of API access that you can kind of build and do with it what you want.
Yeah, wow. That's quite a feat, right? I mean, this whole picture is just incredible to me. Starting off having your own software where there really was none. The software is centered around the learning, which is centered around the culture. That you built an LMS because learning was what your key trait was that you were looking for. That attitude of learning and
Correct.
growing, and there's just, it's unfortunate that I'm blown away. I'm blown away. I love it, but it's unfortunate that it's so rare that kind of every system that a CEO would put in place would be centered around a value system, right? A culture or a vision. And it sounds like that's been at the forefront of your heart and mind since day
It
one.
is, and it's been a challenge too. I mean, it's funny when you ask me what was your biggest mistake. Well, the funny thing, you've been doing this long enough, you can realize the upside in your weaknesses, and the upside in the mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Not every gig worker wants to learn. Our industry is very easy. We pay about $30 an hour for a 3-hour shift, so a drag can go out and make about $90, but that's pretty standard. Like almost every
Mm-hmm.
agency is paying that. It's just that you can go work for those agencies and maybe be on your phone the whole time and get that same pay. But if you come work for us, you got to really want to learn the software, and you got to really evangelize the products. So
Yeah.
it's a mixed bag, because the dragons that are dragons are cultish about it. They're like, yeah, I work for these other 3 agencies too, Lamar, but y'all are the best, and I love working for y'all. Whereas we've also had to lose a lot of folks because they don't want to take the time to learn the products, which is okay. Okay, great.
Sure.
You're just not a part of our culture, and good luck going where else you're going. But it does create that double-edged sword, because it's, the one thing is that it's harder for us to get people that want to have that passion, but the ones that we do are incredible.
Yeah. And you're right. It does. It almost limits the scope of available bodies.
Very
And
much it does. Very
in a
much.
in a gig economy, most companies aren't worried about that. They're worried about the warm bodies, and they're not
That's
going to weed
correct.
anybody out as long as they're willing to do the work and hit the app and accept the job.
That's correct.
But that's not what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and that's, and the clients that hire us see that, right?
Yeah.
And they understand that, and especially if you're a small or medium-sized client, you've put all your blood, money, and sweat into building your brand. You want that brand represented as almost as well as you could do it yourself, which is what I always tell founders. Like, look, you're going to go do a tasting and sell 15 bottles. My people are going to probably average 6 or 7, but still, I'm going to have those guys that are going to go out and sell 15 bottles. It's just that not everybody's going to hit that mark the way you're hitting it. But we're going to do our very best to make sure your story's being told correctly.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever get out there yourself anymore? Do tastings? Just for kicks?
That's a great question. I think I say this all the time, and I don't know it to be factually true, but I'm probably one of the only agency owners that's actually done a tasting, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that's done over 1,000 in my lifetime.
Wow.
Because when I built the company, I did all the tastings myself at the beginning. So, we started so small that I was literally training people out of my home office. I'll never forget this one dragon that came. She goes, the first time I showed up at your house, Lamar, I had mace in my purse. Like, I looked this up on a Craigslist ad. This guy's having me come to his house. Like, she's like, you turned out to be one of the nicest people I've ever met, you and your wife. But, I had mace, and I always laugh because I'm like, you should.
Should have had. Yeah, crazy. That was a good call.
Yeah, like, I'm just some random dude putting Craigslist ads out and having people come to his house to come and get training. But yeah, so, and now I do maybe 3 or 4 activations a year, but I make sure I still go out and do them because I want to keep my chops hot,
Yep. Do you have a particular client that you like to work with? It's like your go-to, hey, I'm going to show up at your store and do some tastings.
All my clients, Jason.
I was trying to catch you. All right. All right. He's listening. He's sharp. So this is all wonderful, right? The economy is kind of in a weird place. It's an election year. So there's a lot of turbulence out there. How's that impacting you? What's keeping you up at night these days?
Yeah, well, we've definitely seen a downturn in alcohol buying this year. And I've seen it everywhere. Like the research that I'm doing, the brands that I'm talking to, the stores, everything just seems to be a little bit down right now in terms of people trying new products, that type of deal. So it's been a challenging year just on that alone. But we're also seeing an uptick in non-alcohol drinkers, right? And people who prefer THC or CBD brands. And that is a tumultuous discussion right now here in the state of Texas. You can buy Delta 9 products. But just in the last month, we've talked to 8 different THC companies that want to do business with us.
Wow.
So we're trying to figure out, and my tagline is, we pour drinks and tell stories. So for me, I don't care if it's beer, wine, liquor, THC, coffee, tea. It doesn't really matter. If you want the promotion, you can afford our services, we're going to go out and promote for you. And that's been really cool to see the very quick change of, wow, we're about 70% of my business is spirits, right? Spirits based. So when you asked me that question earlier, I would prefer to go out and do a tasting for a spirits based client than I would for a beer or wine personally. But man, this THC space is really exciting too, because, I try to stay healthy in a very hard to stay healthy industry.
Yeah.
And I can't drink, every night. So slowing down and having a little THC before going to bed is a good thing sometimes.
Yeah, no doubt. And there's lots of great zero proof brands coming out. There's some trash, but there's some really tasty ones, and not all of them even have THC, but they'll have, some of them are just taste, and it's that routine of having a sip.
Ritual is a great brand. They're not a client of mine. I hope they will be soon, but tequila free tequila, whiskey free whiskey, where you can actually make a drink, a mocktail that's going to taste very authentic. Yep. And then you're absolutely correct. And then there's also these other brands that are basically THC based, whether it's 2.5 milligrams, so that's a low dose, or 5, or a full 10. They're coming out in all sorts of kind of form factors and sizes and flavors. So you're going to see an explosion of CBD THC, especially as the younger generation chooses not to drink. The Generation Z is not drinking like the Generation X. Generation Y drink less than Generation X, which is I'm X, and then Z is going to drink even less than Y.
Which I guess is good, right? Other than industry impact, initially, it'll recover with other products, but we should be probably glad that there's less drinking happening.
Yeah, everything's a pendulum. Everything's cyclical. I think this is just the upswing of that pendulum.
It's true.
20, 30 years from now, people will start drinking again and enjoying alcohol again. But for me, anything in moderation is great. So if you're enjoying alcohol in moderation, you're fine. If you're enjoying THC in moderation, you're fine, because we all need some vices and some escape from this
from reality,
very difficult life sometimes,
Yeah, no doubt. It's a total sidebar conversation, probably for another time, but it's just interesting. I haven't tried any of the THC based ones, but that's like the slow burn, right? In alcohol, you're gonna your body's response is keeping up with almost each sip, the THC is going to take a minute to kick in. And so
The
I'm just
THC
curious
drinks
how
hit
to
a lot
feel.
harder. They hit a lot faster than the THC gummies, though,
Oh, do they?
because
Okay.
it's already in liquid form, and so it's hitting your body quicker. So you have to be even more careful with them.
Ah,
So yeah, like and first you have to know what your THC tolerance is. I
Sure.
didn't smoke my first joint until I was 36. I was in Colorado. I never seriously had marijuana until then.
yeah. I was in my
found out
40s, dude.
my THC tolerance is low. So as a big man, I only take 5 milligrams, half a dose before I go to bed, and that's enough.
Yep.
I take 10 milligrams and I'm just done. So, you got to figure that out.
Yeah, no doubt. I was over 40 already before I ever had my first. I was too much of the goody two shoes growing up.
Same here, man.
Everyone listening, they know that what I said about THC is true. They also know that the goody two shoes is an utter lie. But yeah, we'll figure out what to do with that later. I digress. So, man, this has been wonderful, and as I mentioned, we try to be respectful of your time. So let's kind of shift gears and just do a shameless plug. Right? Not every listener is going to have a beverage store that they can hire you. Obviously, if they do, they should hit you up. But does anything else come to mind, just for a general audience, people like you and me, CEOs, anything you want to plug or talk about?
Absolutely, man. I appreciate the opportunity. So, first of all, always be yourself unless you can beadragon.com. We own the URL, beadragon.com. Go there to apply if you want a great gig job. I love professionals, and I love anywhere from, hey, I need a job, to I'm a professional, I just want to have some fun. Like, it can be the whole gamut there. Paying about $30 an hour for a 3-hour shift, you get to take liquor home at the end of the shift. What can be more fun than sitting in an air-conditioned environment talking about liquor for 3 hours? If you're that type of person, come be a dragon with us. And then secondly, if you know of a brand out there that needs great representation, has retail presence, and is a brand that's easy to basically pour and tell a story for, send them our way, man. We'd love to talk with them, qualify them. I'm an old Sandler sales guy, trained guy, so I'm quick to qualify folks to a no. I'm quick to say, hey, listen, I don't think we can help you right now. I think you need to do your own tastings for a while. So there's been a lot of small brands that I've basically advised along the way until they can get to a point where this makes sense to spend money on this type of marketing.
Yeah, man, no doubt. Well, thanks for that. We'll definitely include all of that in the show notes. So we're going to end off. This is our quick fire ending that I warned you about. It's really easy. I might cheat on a little bit. I may have some controversial local ones since we both happen to be in Austin.
Let's do it.
First one's easy. Car or truck?
Car or truck? Car.
All right. Night owl or morning person?
Now a morning person.
Yeah? Not always, huh? Queso or guacamole?
Guacamole.
All right. At Chewy's, salsa or creamy jalapeno?
Creamy jalapeno.
And it's crack, isn't it? What do they put in that?
It is crack cocaine. It's so bad for you, but it's so good.
All right. I'm trying to determine which two to even ask about when it comes to liquor. So I'll just say, I'll make it up.
Go for it.
Whiskey or tequila?
Gosh, that you had to put those. Fun fact, I started as a tequila broker. So I'm married a Mexican, so we know tequila intimately. But these days, her go-to is tequila and my go-to is whiskey. Nice.
Well, that's awesome. Oh, man, Lamar, so much gold. I'm just so excited for you guys to hopefully just explode and be the biggest, most well-known brand in this entire industry, if you aren't already. I love what you're doing. I love the storytelling aspect. I love that you're hiring people based on potential and attitude, determination, perseverance. And it's inspiring and it's encouraging. And so thank you for everything you shared today.
Well, thank you, Jason, for giving me a chance to tell my story. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I also love the radio voice. It's going to be a couple of good microphone quality. People are going to appreciate that. It's the
I
little
always
things.
said I had the face for radio, man.
Well, hey, thank everyone for listening. This has been the Work Culture Podcast with Lamar the Dragon Romero. We will see you next time.
Thank you.